So hopefully you have worked through setting up your Dreamweaver, and this is part 2 of the lecture. This one's not nearly as long, and it's just some information for you. So, certain things to know. When it comes to naming files, first of all, the very first file, your home page file for a website is always called index.html, and we'll get more into that. But here's some ideas or thoughts or important things to know about when you're creating names for pages, for anything. You want them to be meaningful to you, so you know them. Keep it short. This is really important. Use all lowercase letters, okay? Never use any of these crazy symbols you see here, the exclamation, the and, none of that. Don't ever use any of that. And do not use spaces. You will find that if you save like a picture file, a JPEG, and you put a space in there, it won't connect when you try to put it into HTML language. So we don't use capitals, lower cases, and no spaces. That rhymes. That's very cool. And don't ever begin with a number. Okay? I usually, unless I'm doing a lot of the same kind of picture, I don't use numbers at all, but I'll use like cow 1, cow 2, cow 3 if I'm going to have several pictures of cows, which everyone should have. Okay, so when it comes to copyright, the Berne Convention, which is an international agreement for copyright, states that copyright is automatic when you create a website, because there's a mark, a date that's registered when the website is created that gives you the authority to do it because you created it. So there's no need to register it, and there's no need to do anything, but I would use the copyright symbol right here. So at the bottom of your web page when you create it, and when we go into Wix, you'll see how easy this is. They actually give you a space for it. You're going to do, you would write the word copyright, or just this C right here, and the year and your last name. And that just kind of guarantees that this is mine and this is when I created it, without you having to go through the hassle of going to the back end, looking and seeing when it was created to, if you needed it for legal purposes. So if you want to create that symbol, here you go right here. Option key and G will create the copyright symbol on a Mac, only on a Mac. You could Google how you do it on a PC, but I use a Mac. So, and for educational purposes, as I said, you can use any pictures you want right now. As far as the websites we're creating for class, for educational use, that's called fair use. But I would get used to using sites like this one, Morgfiles. Morgfile.com is free files that usually very talented photographers and artists put their work on when they're done with them, and they just want to share them with people. And there is no need for you to worry about copyright law. This is something important. HTML must display and be understood by the browser. And here's the heavy hitters, right? These are the main browsers we look at. Is Chrome. You probably don't know that. Oh, that's Opera. Then there's Internet Explorer, Firefox, and Safari. So we know for sure that Safari is only for Mac and Internet Explorer is only for PC, and you should be using Firefox because it's for both and it's safe. Chrome as well. Opera is a smaller international web browser, but here's some information about them. The most widely used is Chrome, which is funny because I'm not a fan. I don't know who uses Chrome. I'm the crazy one over here in the yellow. I use Safari, even though I know better. I should be using Firefox and it's on my computer, but it's the thing you hit all the time. And Internet Explorer is probably the worst one, but it's the one that PC users are used to. I have actually downloaded Firefox onto my mother's computer and will not allow her to use Internet Explorer anymore because so many viruses seem to be attached to it. Accessibility. This is a big deal on the internet, and we will learn how to do this. This is a law that says that people with disabilities have to be able to view websites just like anyone else. So if they're motor impaired or eyesight or deaf or have a mental disability, they have rights, and they have rights to actually be able to use a website. And then the United Nations Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities states that internet access is a human right. Here you go, asterisk. Internet access is a human right. And this came about in 1999 when the Olympic Committee was sued for its website because it was not accessible. And it was somebody who was visually impaired, and they won $6 million because they weren't able to see this website. There was no way to make it larger if they were just impaired and they could see. Most websites you can enhance the size, or there's a dialogue that you can press and it will say what it is you're looking at. So we have several ways of doing that. We are able to put in accessibility in some ways, and we'll talk about that soon. Entities. Entities exist for all letters and characters. If a symbol cannot be entered directly from a keyboard, it's given a name or a numeric value. Now, the big one for this, I'm going to go to the next slide, is the greater than or less than symbol, because you recognize those, right? Those are the brackets that we use in the HTML language. So we can't use them as a greater than or less than symbol because we're already using them for something else. And remember, this is only a machine. It only does what we tell it to do, okay? So the greater than or the less than symbol, this is the code for it right here. And then the greater than symbol is right here. So these are all different ones that have a specific code because there's no actual key for it on the computer. So let's take a look at a website right now, and we're going to look at its HTML, all right? So we're going to go to piedmont.edu, and then we're going to look at some of, let me show you. We go into the middle here, and we right-click or control-click on a PC, command-click on a Mac, but I right-click, and I want to inspect the element. All right, so here you go. If you right-click and look at Inspect Elements, you can see all the code. And watch, see as I roll over it? Okay, this is telling me each part. So this is a banner, a header, see right there, banner, and the content, what it has in it. So you can see this is centered text right here, and we can just keep going down and finding all kinds of things that, I don't know, I think it's kind of fun. But anyway, you can go into any website and look at their, their elements. So it's just another way for you to utilize what you know on the internet. HTML5 is the latest version of HTML. There's an asterisk there. It's the newest of the language, and it's getting larger and larger, but it's still considered HTML5. It's our most modern. And as you see here, the W3C is the World Wide Web Consortium. They set the standards. They're the group that set the standards for responsibly maintaining and updating the HTML language. And there's some sites here you can look at. Different tags I just have at your disposal, because of course I put these PowerPoints up without my voice as well, so you can go back through them. Semantic web. Semantic web is the web of data. It's all linked data. So it enables data rather than documents to be linked from a source to another source and to be understood by computers so that they can perform increasingly sophisticated tasks on our behalf. So what the semantic web is the idea of connecting all data. It's like the web of things. The web of things is having, like your car has a brain in it that's connected to a satellite. So when the oil is low, you get a text that tells you that. Everything is connected. All the data is interconnected to each other. And that's something that we get into further on in, if we get time at the end of this course. But In my advanced technologies course, we talk about the semantic web and how we use it. Just thought you'd like to know. So that's it for this week. Please make sure that you upload your screenshot of your Dreamweaver setup, and we will be ready to start CSS.